Angie Beto, and welcome to Town Talk with Town Square Buzz. Today we're sitting down with Dick Stevens, who is running for Place 4 Board of Trustees for McKinney ISD. Dick, thanks for having us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for taking time out of your schedule. I'm sure you're very busy. You do have a real job.
Yeah, and a family.
So, thank you again. We're excited to hear what you have to say as you're running for re-election.
Yeah, appreciate the opportunity.
Would you tell us a little bit about who is Dick Stevens? What makes you tick?
I'm pretty passionate and high energy. I've had a passion for children for quite a few years. I once had a business down in the lower socioeconomic area of Dallas, and I got involved then with helping children then. It's always been a passion, but I've also have a passion for the community. I moved up to McKinney specifically because we were living in North Dallas at the time, and I wanted to become active in some type of community and give back. And so we looked around, and my dad had been up here in business, and I'd been in business here for years in real estate, so I decided this would be the perfect place to come. So I'm really passionate about helping the community and the kids.
And you have how many children of your own?
Got 3 fantastic kids. Robert graduated from McKinney North 2 years ago, and he's playing football at Hardin Simmons in Abilene. Then I've got a daughter who's 31 that's a CPA and recently went with a company called FlowServe in Irving. And then I've got a 33-year-old that graduated from UT, and the daughter graduated from A&M. I gotta get that in. The son graduated from UT and is financial advisor in Kerrville, Texas. Does what I do, in other words.
Okay. And you've been in McKinney how long?
10 years.
10 years. How time flies, right? Exactly.
Back when McKinney didn't have 50,000 people in it.
Oh, well, I know that feeling quite well. In your press release, you mentioned that you were very proud of the accomplishments that you and the school board has been able to make so far. However, you realize there are more things that you need to work on.
Absolutely.
Could you share with us what some of those specific accomplishments have been?
Well, I think a year and a half ago, we had to find a new superintendent, a little over a year and a half ago. And we looked at 100 candidates and narrowed it down. And I think our number one accomplishment was hiring the right guy at the right time.
Tough job.
That's the number one accomplishment. Okay. Number 2 is that we've created a 5-year strategic plan that I'm passionate about not losing sight of, even with the financial situation we're in now, which has caused us to postpone a lot of the important action plans. I think that we've held tight on the budget over the last 2 years. That has allowed us to be in a much better position today than a lot of other districts around us. I know a lot of people have told me that if you read the paper, you hear about other school districts and all that, but you don't hear about us as much, and it's because I think the school board realized 2 years ago, and maybe longer than that, there's certain members of the school board, even before I was on, that was already looking at the budget. And since then, like I say, we've looked at everything. We've held the superintendent and his staff, to accountable, and so we've kept the budgeting down. And because of that, we're not having to lay off near as many people as some of the other districts.
That's a very good thing, certainly. So let's go back to you mentioned the 5-year plan. Could you give us a little bit of highlight on the things that long-term you think are most important that would stand out in that 5-year plan?
Well, one is that we realize that McKinney has a diverse culture, and so we want to make sure that we emphasize that culture, use it, and not deny it, for one thing. And then we realize that we're going into a global economy, and that we need to expand our curriculum to more fit with the global economy. We also, though, realize that with a lower socioeconomic, a larger group than other districts, that we have to provide for those. And so we have plans in there to make sure that those kids aren't left behind, and that we prepare them, whether it's for college with Avid or a career out before college. In other words, maybe they don't go to college. And then we did some facilities planning. We want to start making sure that we're out identifying school sites ahead of time. Last few years we grew so fast that we were picking school sites too late, and that caused us a lot of problems. So we're actively looking for school sites and working with the city to get, with them to help us find those sites well in advance. We also want to do more community partnerships with the city and other business organizations in town. And there's the one thing I'm probably the most disappointed of, just to be frank right now, is that we decided we wanted to expand our career in technology, even to have a separate facility. And because of the current financial situation, that's not even an option, unfortunately. And it's one of my passions, is to do that. So somehow or another, I want to make sure that we keep that on the plan, so once the economy turns around, the property values increases, that we can start looking at that again.
So that you would like to just have that on the back burner, but know that you'll come back to that as a board.
Exactly.
That's one of the areas you're specifically passionate about. What else do you think the district needs to address specifically that you as a board of trustees can work toward?
Well, obviously the number one thing is budget and money.
Okay.
It doesn't appear, based on my working in Washington, D.C. and Austin, and being in the business community, that the property values are going to turn around very quickly.
Right.
We are limited to how much money we get for the students by the state. All we can do is lobby for more money. We can't just grow it on trees. We can't go out and raise taxes. They won't let us do that. And so we have to be much more thrifty with our dollars. And basically, when we add a program, we've got to look at taking off a program that may not be as effective or important. But the main thing is, and then the other side of it is, with the money and flinching, is because of the low property values, we have a very low bond capacity. We don't have the money to build new schools. I had a passion that I want to build a fourth high school and a career in technology, and we're not going to be able to do that. It's just the bottom line. And so now we're having to expand the high schools with ninth grade centers. So, but that said, we're still adding 500 plus students a year, and if we don't build another house in McKinney, that means that every year or so we have to add at least one elementary school. So that's a huge challenge, is keeping up with the growth, with really, I can't see where we're going to get the money to build new facilities. So that's a huge challenge. Making sure that we don't lose any more teachers or any more really effective programs is a huge challenge. And so money is really, the budget and the money is the most critical. I think we've got wonderful curriculum programs. We've got, everything in place as long as we can keep it.
Okay.
And that's the challenge.
Okay, let's take a break. Conclude this segment there, and when we come back, we'll talk to you a little bit more about the bond issue and some of the other issues that McKinney ISD is facing.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on this segment of Town Talk. Please check back with us as we continue our conversation with Dick Stevens, who is running for McKinney Board of Trustees, Place 4. And I want to remind everyone to remember that early voting starts May 2nd and runs through May 10th. Election day is May 14th.